Hello everyone, a good day to you all. Today I will be presenting on Awareness in Reducing Single-Use Plastic, a case study of students and businesses in UKM. Prepared by Hanim Kamaruddin, Farah Ilani Razman, Auni Wafiqah Mohd Nasir, Muhammad Amir Samad, Nazira Romzi, Nushahira Faizal, and Muhammad Wajid Zakwan Hanif. Both the presentation and paper is divided into 4 parts, namely introduction, method, results, and conclusion. In 2019, Malaysia is rated as one of the world's worst for plastic pollution, in which that most of the plastics are dumped and only a small fraction, which is 2% in 2013, were recycled. The main issue in Malaysia was that there is a rise of plastic usage amongst local businesses, despite the urge to reduce plastics by the Ministry of Energy, Science, Technology, Environment and Climate Change Malaysia. UKM still is committed to this issue, where it has created circulars in the university campus prohibiting the use of straws in food premises in the campus. Thus, this paper seeks a review on awareness and practicing habits of businesses and students in UKM in efforts to reduce single-use plastic usage and willingness to opt for less usage. Methods of data for this paper consist of 2 steps, namely data collection and data analysis, where for data collection, we have conducted a survey in a Google form on 100 respondents in UKM consisting of business operators, students and staff, which we then take the rough collected data and analyze them in an average percentage calculation to measure the awareness and willingness of respondents, which we record the number of positive responses of the questions or statements in favor of the questions and statements for each category and turn them into percentages based on the original number of the respondents in their respective categories. In turn, we also compare data from the 2 tables to find a correlation, as well as compare between the level of awareness and willingness based on their categories. The survey was divided into 3 parts, namely A, B, and C, where part A is for components, is to record the demographic or the background of our 100 respondents, consisting of occupation, age, and gender, where part B is to record the awareness of the respondents regarding single-use plastics, consisting of 3 answer options, yes, no, and maybe, and 5 item questions, where the answer maybe is not recorded for accuracy purposes. Part C is for recording the willingness of respondents to opt for less plastic usage, or less single-use plastic usage, consisting of 8 questions and 8 item questions and statements, 3 options, yes, maybe, and no, and 1 to 5 options, namely strongly disagree, neutral, agree, and strongly agree, are also used for this part of the survey. On screen are the questions and statements from the latter 2 parts of the survey, part B and part C, consisting of B1 to B5, which is part B, namely for asking the questions to find out the level of awareness of the respondents, while part C, C1 to C8, would be to record the willingness for these respondents to opt for less single-use plastics. The result from the questionnaires was divided into 3 parts as well. For the demographic, which is data from respondents consisting of students and business operators collecting information on their occupation, age, and gender, which is according to the data collection in part A, while for part B would be for awareness of respondents on single-use plastic, and the results were divided as accordingly, based on the 5 items of questions and statements from the survey, while willingness for respondents opting less single-use plastic is as according to the results in the survey of part C, based on the 8 items of questions from the survey. As you can see, on screen is a visualization of the part A of the survey, which records demographics. For the most part, out of the 100 respondents, 39% were business operators, 33% were students, and 28% were staff, with the majority age being the range of 18 to 25, and the gender 51% being from females. As you can see in this table represents the data analyzed from the results in part B, which is to record the level of awareness of respondents with regards to single-use plastics. As you can see, the higher the percentage of each category, the higher the level of their awareness. The average percentage is also calculated to give a general look on the general awareness of these respondents in UKM. The important points to be noted in this table would be B2, which shows a significant increase for the difference between students and staff, with the staff only garnering 89% in favor or in agreement with the question in B2. While B3, the trend continues with the staff having the lowest score out of the 3, which is 25%, with business operators being the most aware regarding heavy usage of single-use plastics in UKM at 79%. However, the average percentage is still at barely half, at 54% only. While B4, are you aware of single-use plastic in your daily routine? All the respondents had answered yes for this question, meaning the conclusion that we can arise to is that they are all aware of their use of single-use plastics in your daily routine. To conclude this table, we can obviously see that there is a lack of awareness in the surrounding use of plastics, as to be seen in B3, compared to B4, where everyone is aware of their own single-use plastic usage in their daily routine. The findings in the table shown here reflects the percentage of willingness to opt for environmentally friendly alternative to single-use plastics. Again, the answer is not calculated for accuracy purposes, as well as neutral answers, since this particular part, which is part C of the survey, also contains 1 to 5 scale questions. C1, the responses were recorded on whether they would still support a business that does not provide single-use plastics. The 3 categories responded with an average of 51%, with students who are more willing at 58%. For C2 and C3, only the responses that read agree and strongly agree were counted to be in support of this item. Students showed a strong support at 70%, with an overall average in support of this policy at 60% for C2. This trend remained with students for C3, agreeing that they should not pay any fee for using single-use plastics. However, the percentage among the staff was low, garnering only 25% support for C3. We can assume that the staff was more willing to pay fees for single-use plastics compared to other categories. As for C5, data collected is for the willingness to pay for biodegradable bags or other types of bags with an overall average of only 37%. The lowest percentage was among business operators at only 14%. However, students showed willingness to spend more for this sustainable approach at 76%. As for C6, it questioned how often one utilizes single-use plastics, in which reflects the frequency of such practices amongst the respondents in UKM, where all three categories responded with often or very often. C7 was specifically addressed for business operators on the use of single-use plastics, garnering 97% responses. Positive responses to note. C8, it can be assumed that all three categories would opt for more environmentally friendly alternatives if they are made available. To conclude this table, it can be seen that students are more willing than other categories to opt for less single-use plastics or to take up the practices if policies were to be implemented. Our overall observation on correlation between responses in the survey would be in terms of awareness of respondents. We find that the business operators are more aware on heavy usage on single-use plastics in UKM as concluded in B3. It corresponds with responses for C7 stating that almost all businesses provide single-use plastics in business and the usage of plastic can be substantial. As for the willingness to opt for less plastic usage, we find that staff refuse to pay for single-use plastics in C3, but are more willing to bring reusable material as reflected in B5, and to opt environmentally friendly products as reflected in C8. In general, the UKM community are willing to accept environmentally sustainable policies to reduce the usage of single-use plastic. However, the main challenge is the lack of awareness on its impacts to the environment, as well as a less enforceable policy. In conclusion, reducing usage of plastics in UKM is a shared responsibility between the governing body and staff, as well as the business operators and students. UKM should ban plastics, charge extra fee for single-use plastics, and educate more on sustainable alternatives through proper mechanisms. Besides, UKM community should also take concerted effort to prevent or reduce the use of single-use plastics in all establishments within university campuses to raise more awareness on the issue. That is all. Thank you.